What's up, Buff fans, and happy Friday. We hope your week has been a good one, and we are here to make it even better. I'm Logan Benson, and to my right is...
I'm Jimmie Searfoss.
We have a jam-packed show, so without further ado, let's get straight on into it. All right, despite a quiet night from Jalen Sherrod, the Buffs took home a 63-57 win against Washington State last Friday. The win moved them to 18-3 on the season and marked their third win of the Pacific Northwest road trip. Aaronette Vonleh chalked 20 points and 8 rebounds, and Quay Miller finished with another 15 boards. But it was a standout 27-point game from Frida Foreman that put the Buffs in position to capitalize in crunch time. Sherrod took a shot with a minute left on the clock to take the lead back for Colorado, and Foreman put away 5 more free throws to ice the game.
Colorado ended their road trip with a visit to Seattle to play the Washington Huskies. By halftime, the Buffaloes had a comfortable 22-point lead, playing strong on both sides of the ball, shooting just under 80% and holding Washington to 28 points. The lead in the second half was high enough where Colorado was able to give their bench more minutes, leading to an 57 win to complete the Washington sweep.
Coming off a consistent and impressive week for the women's team, Colorado is back in the top 5 AP poll. Their defensive performance on the Washington road trip in the past week, along with improved ball movement, made good looks for the voters, and the Buffs sit at number 4 because of it. One of the higher ranked schools in this week, NC State, was upset by number 16 Virginia Tech, which means if Colorado does their job handling both Oregon schools at home, they could very well find themselves back in the top 3 come Monday.
Last Saturday, the Colorado men's basketball team traveled to Utah to take on the Utes. Both teams brought similar records into the game as they're both fighting for a March Madness bid. Unfortunately for CU, Utah won 73-68, improving to 12-0 on their home floor. Utah's Devion Smith put up a near triple-double, and Gabe Madsen poured on 21 points as the Utes surged past the Buff squad, who was missing the likes of Cody Williams, Luke O'Brien, and Bengot Dak. It was KJ Simpson who was off all their offense, though. He put up 25 points in the loss.
The loss in Salt Lake City marked the Buffs' 7th loss of the season, as well as their 2nd in a row, with Colorado and Utah both fighting for a spot in the dance, though. The 5-point loss came with a little bit more of a sting. On Thursday night, however, the Buffs returned to the CU Event Center, handily beating the Arizona State Sun Devils 82-70. The Buffs came out flaming hot, going up by 18 early in the first half, while ASU responded, even coming within 4. Javon Hadley's 19 points and 11 rebounds ultimately fended them off. Cody Williams also returned in the win. With the Buffs getting back in the win column, they faced the number 8 ranked Arizona this Saturday at home, as their chances at the NCAA tournament continue to jump around.
Back for this week's edition of Buff Banner. It's been a while since you've seen me, but it's also been a while since the Colorado men's basketball team has seen a fully healthy roster. Of all the injuries, though, the Buffs have greatly missed standout freshman Cody Williams. The probable lottery pick in the upcoming NBA draft has missed 9 games this season, missing a 7-game stretch due to a wrist injury and now wearing a protective mask due to a facial injury. When he plays, though, the Buffs are 10-4, with Williams continuing to boost his draft stock. He is currently averaging just over 14 points a game and 3 rebounds while playing around 30 minutes a game. However, when CU is missing their 3rd leading scorer and premier 2-way player, they are just 6-3. As a phenomenal driver with decent playmaking skills and a developing jump shot, the offense struggles when the defensive attention Williams pulls is left for just KJ Simpson and Tristan Silva. However, the Buffs may miss him more on defense. With the 6'8" frame and freakish athleticism Williams uses in his takes to the basket, he routinely swallows up opposing players, forcing plenty of dribble pickups and leading the Buffs in blocks. Not only does Colorado as a team miss the former 5-star, but the fans have missed watching the highest recruit in the history of Colorado basketball. Williams has already exploded for multiple 20-plus point performances with a number of posterizing dunks this season, getting the CU Event Center on their feet. With 8 games left before the Pac-12 tournament, the availability of the masked freshman will be crucial as the injury-ridden Buffs continue fighting for what was once an expected NCAA tournament spot. Well, that's all I have for this week's edition of Buff Banner. My name is Oliver Hayes, sending it back to you guys at the desk.
Now it's time to unveil our Play of the Week candidates. We asked you, Buffs, on Twitter, which of these plays were your very most favorites. Was it this perfectly swung pass from Jalen Sherrod to Maddie Nolan for the three-pointer in the win against Washington? Was it this steal and breakaway slam by KJ Simpson on the road against Utah? Or was it this game-tying hat trick goal off of the deflection by Corey DePonio against Wyoming? Look at that one. Or was it this massive dunk from Cody Williams in his return from injury last night against Arizona State? That was a big one. The answer will be revealed later on in the show, so make sure you guys stick around for the PSA.
Who wants to do basketball? Who wants to do football? Who wants to do soccer? Who wants to do volleyball?
That's so sick. Did Christian just sing?
Videography. Anyone want to do that?
The football team's search for a new defensive coordinator finally came to an end on Wednesday as former Cincinnati Bengals secondary and safeties coach Robert Livingston was hired by Coach Prime's staff. Livingston was at the last time at the collegiate level in 2001 as a quality control coach for Vanderbilt, then with the Bengals organization since 2012. Now he takes on the first coordinating job of his career, trying to help a unit that struggled mightily last season but included flashes of elite play on the back end. The returning starters for the team are Travis Hunter, Shiloh Sanders, Cormani McLean, and Trevor Woods. That's quite the bunch.
In addition to Livingston's hiring, several other staff members were made official by the Buffs earlier today. Pat Shurmur returns for his full first season as offensive coordinator. Phil Loadhall is another new face that will coach a completely made-over offensive line. Jason Phillips brings over 2 decades of experience to coach what should be a loaded wide receiver room. Vincent Dancy was officially promoted to outside linebacker and defensive ends coach. And Brent Bartolone shifts over from coaching receivers to providing insight for tight ends. Coach Prime's staff combines bright youth with seasoned experience and looks to improve on last season's 4-8 record.
4-star edge BJ Green committed to the Buffs this week, strengthening an already improved defense. Green clocked 6 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 39 tackles at Arizona State last year. He's going to bring much-needed speed to that edge room for the Buffs.
The Buffs will have a player on the field in Sunday's big game, Isaiah Oliver, cornerback for the San Francisco 49ers, who is a former Buff who also acquired 82 tackles and 3 interceptions at his time at CU. This past year, he recorded 53 tackles and 1 interception and should catch the eyes of Buff fans across the world this coming Sunday.
With the game just ahead of us, we're looking back to ask you who was the last Buffalo alum to play in the big game, and in what year was that? The answer will be coming later on in today's show, so make sure you stick around.
The Buffs had a schedule change for the 2024 season this week. The homecoming game was scheduled to take place against the Kansas State Wildcats at Folsom Field on October 12th. Now, the homecoming game will be played on September 21st when the Buffs host the Baylor Bears. No dates were affected from the change, just the homecoming date.
Star Colorado wide receiver and defensive back Travis Hunter recently proposed to Leanna Lene. The two have been a pair for quite some time, and she's made several appearances in the Prime documentary as well as Deion Sanders Jr.'s YouTube channel. Leanna's ring is reportedly worth $100,000 and is covered with princess-cut diamonds. Will the college football star get married before the season or head after the draft? I don't know. I just know that ring is worth more than I am.
Right on, Jimmie. The NFL has sent out the first wave of invites for the scouting combine in Indianapolis. And on that first list was Colorado's very own Xavier Weaver. We're less than 20 days out from Combine Weekend beginning February 29th. The senior declared for the draft early in the year and is projected to go mid-draft, possibly making a 55-man roster. The receiver hit almost 1,000 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns this past season.
With the big game coming up this weekend, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce shared his support for the Buffs. Hopefully we can get the return of the fall season and some style, and Prime can tell that trophy that you belong with me because we're ready for it. That was 3 Taylor Swift jokes, and if you didn't get that, we've got a bad blood. And I got bad blood with whoever wrote that.
The tennis team had a great weekend in Wyoming, securing wins against UNC, Greensboro, and the University of Wyoming. The Buffs led a 5-2 win on Saturday, taking all 3 doubles against UNC, Greensboro, and 3 single matches. On Sunday, the Buffs finished the weekend leading 4-1 against Wyoming, winning all 4 singles but dropping on the doubles. Overall, the Buffs had a successful weekend. Head coach Anthony Pham concluded and will continue to work on their doubles to secure another win this weekend at the first home match of the season.
The Colorado Buffalo ski team won the Spencer James Nelson Memorial Invitational last Saturday in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. The Buffs earned a total of 671.5 points across the Nordic and Alpine teams, granting them the win. This is the first overall all-meet victory the team has seen in 5 years. Following the win, the Alpine team competed in the slalom event at the Denver Invitational in Dillon on Monday and Tuesday. They finished in 2nd and 3rd place, and the Nordic team will round out the meet this weekend in the mini-turn at the 10K Classic and the 5K Freestyle. The Division I women's lacrosse team starts their season on Sunday when Louisville comes into town. The Buffs were 1 game away from earning a spot in the NCAA tournament last year, losing in the Pac-12 championship game. They're coming out to the season without 2 of their leading scorers from last year in Charlie Rudy and Sam McGee, and are looking to Ashley Stokes and Morgan Pence to fill those shoes. The 2 were 3rd and 4th on the team in goals scored in 2023, respectively. Colorado has 4 opponents on their schedule who are ranked in the preseason top 25, highlighted by number 1 Northwestern, who comes into Boulder on February 22nd. The Buffs are ranked 3rd in the Pac-12 preseason coaches poll, only trailing USC and Stanford.
The men's golf team played one of their most closely contested matches so far last week, with only 6 strokes separating the top 7 teams, many of which occupied first at one point or the other. The Buffs managed to finish 6th in the cutthroat competition. The Buffs will play next in 3 weeks at Wyoming.
The D1 Club men's hockey team has a huge series this weekend. They will need to place in the top 24 for the Nationals. The Buffs are ranked at number 26. Going into the weekend, they will need 2 wins over Arizona State to stay alive in the race. They will also need some help from other teams losing to convince the computers to put them into Nationals. Just 4 games remain until bids go out. Make sure you show up at the Rec Center tonight at 8 p.m. and then tomorrow at 7 p.m. to help the Buffs dominate the competition.
Meanwhile, the regular season has come to a close for ACHA Division II hockey, and the men's team split their final home series, winning against Wyoming and losing to the Colorado State Rams. The Wyoming game was a comeback thriller, with the Buffaloes down 3-1 in the second period and fighting their way back to win 4-3. The comeback was sparked by a hat trick from Corey DePonio, who was missed dearly for the following game against the Rams. Colorado lacked sustained pressure to make any good chances against Colorado State, and they would end off their home season with a loss on senior night. With that, though, they play tonight in a playoff matchup versus the Wyoming Cowboys here in Boulder at the CU Rec Center. That game faces off at 5 p.m.
everyone, I'm Kelajanae Curry, and I'm here with this week's version of Rapid Fire. To start off, the women's basketball team is hosting both Oregon schools, starting with a home game against Oregon tonight at 7 p.m. They'll end off the weekend against Oregon State on Sunday at noon. Next, the ski team is heading to Midterm, Colorado to face the University of Denver today and tomorrow. The track and field team is going up against Texas Tech and Seattle today and tomorrow. On Saturday, the tennis team is setting up for their home opener against the Air Force Academy at 10 p.m. Then they'll play the Missouri Tigers on Sunday, both at 11 a.m. at the Rec Center. The women's hockey team is having a home game at the Recreational Center at 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m., both against the Wyoming Cowgirls. And the women's lacrosse team is having a home game against Louisville at noon. And lastly, the men's basketball team is having a home game against Arizona Wildcats at 8 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. That is all for this week's Rapid Fire.
Now it is time to reveal our play of the week. Drum roll, please. The winner, receiving over 57% of the vote, is Corey DePonio. This goal off a deflection right in the front of the net tied the D2 men's hockey game against Wyoming. His third goal of the night would come with a come-from-behind 4-3 win over for CU, my apologies, against Wyoming.
And lastly tonight, we asked you ahead of the big game, who was the last Colorado alumni to win a ring and in what year? And that answer is, drum roll please, Nate Soldier, who won a ring with New England in the 28-3 legendary comeback game in 2017. That was his second, by the way, with his first coming against Seattle 2 years prior. All right. Thank you guys so much
for tuning in this week's live show here at Sko Buffs Sports. Until next time, I'm Jimmie Searfoss.
And I'm Logan Benson.
You guys have a fantastic weekend, Buffs. Remember, you heard it here first.